last couple of, you know what I'm saying, you had the people of the Caucasian persuasion that you was talking to, so you generalize. So today, brother, we're gonna try to focus on the brothers by asking the brother. You feel me?
Okay.
All right.
All it is.
So why don't people care about men, black men specifically?
The reason why a lot of people, and when I say people, because I do think in general, like you said, men aren't typically cared about in terms of black men in the conversation of black women. There's a lot of what's called solipsism within the female population, which means that they actually tend to struggle when it comes to looking at perspectives outside of themselves, especially when it's male. And we'll see this most demonstrated when we'll bring up things legally that's going on that seems to be at the expense of men and a benefit for women, and they won't equalize that. They'll come up with reasons and justifications for why it should remain as such. Part of it is I think, believe it or not, it could be partial to it could be actually partially related to how attractions work. So think of it this way. What work does a woman need to do in order to typically get a man's attention when she's out in public?
Just be attractive, fat ass, pretty face, big chest.
Pretty much just be attractive, right? For the average man, if you reverse it, if he's going to approach a woman, ideally he needs to dress pretty decently, carry himself pretty well. He needs to be able to speak well with good diction. He needs to be charismatic. He needs to be able to not come off boring. He needs to be able to give the impression that her life will be more valuable with him in it, or her in his life. And, he needs to basically impress her. And I think a lot of times that's almost like a microcosm of what it typically looks like, where men have to figure out a way to earn their value. And that usually starts and stops with however much it is that they're providing. So if you're not providing to any particular woman, if you're not related to her and you're not providing any value, there's a pretty significant chance she probably doesn't care much about you at all.
So, this goes into I have this thing called the ain't, can't, don't, won't theory.
Mm-hmm.
Black men ain't, black men can't, black men don't, black men won't, no matter how much, right? The loudest women I hear say, 100K ain't no money, or so on and so forth, are black women. And we know that black women are the second most impoverished group in the country, right? So how is it, especially speaking from a solipsism aspect, right?
Yeah.
You got to be this together, well-to-do, perfect man for these women that, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, think of it this way. Women don't self-identify with negative attributes. They project that onto the men that fail to meet the mark of what they're looking for. So think of it this way. Do women walk around calling themselves broke? Or do they give that the title to the men that can't give them what they're looking for financially?
Yeah, right? or the men that are unwilling, the men that can but won't do it, won't trick themselves.
If they went out on a date and the date didn't go too well, overall the conversation was dry, it was pretty boring, she won't walk away and say, I was boring. She's going to say he was boring. So as a man, if you start to learn that they typically don't self-identify with negative attributes when a man is in the interaction, then you'll quickly start to pick up on these patterns.
Exactly, man. And we like to talk about it from like black women seem to be disqualifiers before qualifiers, right? It's like everything you don't have versus the things that you do, right? And then it's always this thing to where the 95% of men are compared to the 5%, right?
Yeah.
You ain't a rapper, you're not a pro athlete, you ain't Michael B. Jordan, all these different things. And it's like, little baby, you staying with your mama still. You got a kid already. But like you said, once you start saying these things, now you're complaining, now you're being sassy, now you're being feminine.
Yeah.
What's your take on that change in the I guess the sign language is what Kevin Samuels would call it. What would be the psychological or the mental health equivalent of that?
Probably a combo of projection and narcissism. When you think about it. Now, to be fair, I don't think this is all women or even all black women. I think,
of course,
right? So what it is in terms of men is we have to do a much better job on our end of not being so thirsty to get attention from women that we put ourselves in compromising positions because for the sake of getting attention, for the sake of I'm on your live. I don't want to say the wrong word.
Hey, bro, I'm a sailor by brother. You can keep it as real
that's
as
all it is. Like if we get access to the yams, then we'll tolerate quite a bit. If we get access to her attention, her body, like we'll tolerate quite a bit. So, in my viewpoint, when I mentioned the whole narcissism aspect of it, when women behave poorly and you don't leave, you don't correct, and you don't address, you're functionally teaching them and reinforcing to them that negative and bad behaviors in this relationship or interaction is not something that I'm going to be held accountable to.
For sure.
So when you so think of it this way, by not addressing the things that you know is going to eventually harm you both long term in terms of an interaction, you functionally get to a point and spot where it'll make sense where if you've ignored the first 9 times when she stepped out of line, disrespected you, said things that she shouldn't have said, dragged your name up for no reason, destroyed your name or character, whatever, you can't be shocked on the 10th time when she doesn't apologize.
Exactly.
Right. So men that are marrying women that never apologize, whose fault is that? The man. Because no man is walking up to a woman and marrying her within a week. So exactly. Yeah, and it's, people could say people change when they get married, but there's also a lot of traits that are usually pretty throughout the interaction, if you ask me.